bottom wire along the bottom, which they're trained onto, and then these higher wires, you can see where the shoots have been pushed up. They get moved up as they grow, and the effect that has is everything grows up. The grapes are lower down and not particularly covered by leaves and things like that, and the air can move around them better, so there's less risk of disease or mildew or those sort of things. Also during the summer we completely get rid of all the grass under these ones, so it sort of acts as a radiator, so the sun shines on it and the heat comes up and keeps the grapes nice and dry and helps ripen them, and that seems to work really well. And again, in the summer, if you come up here, just walking from the bottom down here up to this bit, there is so much difference in temperature. You can actually feel it. So.
Julian, the vineyard started in 1969. How's it sort of developed since then?
Well, we started as a third of an acre of vines, looking to diversify from apple growing, and built it up to a site of 22 acres, but also producing a range of ciders and apple juices from the apple related business beforehand.
I suppose in those early days it must have been quite a tentative thing, knowing how the wine market was going to develop in the UK in terms of homegrown stuff. It must have been a sort of market you've kind of had to establish yourself to some extent.
I think we've always looked at it. The wine trade hasn't always been embracing of English wine, and we have always concentrated on getting visitors to come to the vineyard and taste the wines and look around the vineyard and take the wine home, as opposed to working with the wine trade who would then go on and supply restaurants. But more recently we've worked at supplying the restaurants directly, and that is creating a nice little loop as far as visitors are concerned, because people who are visiting Kent are tasting the wine and then coming to the vineyard, but equally those people who visit the vineyard first are more recognising of the brands of wine when they're out enjoying themselves at weekends.
So that's a kind of important connection of getting people to come and visit the vineyard as well and see the source, so they might find it somewhere else, and then it's good to see them come here and actually learn about the process and the variety of products that you also have on offer, I suppose. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, it's a total loop as far as visitors are concerned, visiting the area, staying the night, eating the produce that we produce in Kent, whether it's beef, lamb, wine, apples. If we can have people visit the area, then they're investing in the countryside, and that's what's going to pay for these views in the future.
And how do you see the wine sort of trade developing in Kent? I know long term they say, the climate changes and it's going to get even better for growing wine. Do you see that sort of happening?
I think if we do get another degree, it would be quite interesting, but I don't think that's where we're struggling at the moment. I mean, as far as the climate's concerned, we're actually getting up to sort of 12% alcohol naturally, which is what we want. I mean, one of the unique selling points about English wine that's probably not understood greatly is the fact that, we are slightly lower in alcohol. So whereas climate change is affecting vineyards in Australia, South Africa, and you're getting wines at 14.5, 15%, 12%, 11.5%, very reasonable with all the attachments to, alcohol concern and that. So yeah, no concerns on what we can produce in the future.
And I suppose it's good because you can have too much alcohol, which sort of overpowers a wine, can't you, in terms of its flavour?
Yeah, it does different things. I mean, with lower alcohol wines, you're getting light, fruity wines that are, interesting to drink at lunchtimes with hams and salads. But then if you get a really, really hot year, you might be getting 12, 13% alcohol. You get a softer mouthfeel, a much richer wine, and wines that will keep for a period of time, maybe, 3 to 5 years. So it's a very interesting industry to be in, and there's always a reason to go and visit an English vineyard, because it's different every year, as is our climate.
You also do a lot of cider production here as well. How do you see that sort of field developing?
I think the ciders interesting from the vineyard's point of view, because we do produce a lot of cider. It does help run the structure side, the administrative side of the business. It also, one of the most important things it does is it supplies us with a distribution round to be able to supply wine to restaurants as well. So it fulfills a role as a company. It also makes us diverse.
And do you see the sort of finer, because I noticed some of your ciders here are still, and do you see the kind of variety of ciders developing in a different way, perhaps more like wine has done in the past? Can you see that happening?
Well, we've always produced cider at Biddenden Vineyards that's been more like wine in taste and appearance, because you're using coxes and bramleys, the locally grown fruit from the Garden of England, as opposed to cider fruit like they grow in the West Country. So you're starting off with a product that's edible, if you like, and therefore adopting a winemaking approach to it, is very fitting. And yes, we end up with a wine-like product in not only taste but appearance as well.
So finally, you'd definitely encourage people to come and learn about the growing process as well as the tasting process, which is the nice end of it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've obviously, it's free to walk around Biddenden Vineyards. You can walk around the vineyards, and then you end up back at the shop and you can taste the whole range of wines, ciders and apple juice. But we also have, on various Saturdays through the year, have free tours where those tours around the vineyard are guided, and then the wine tasting is slightly more educational than just turning up and tasting. But the main important thing is to remember with all of these things that if we don't eat it, drink it, we can't look at the view that we've got as well. So.